We all wear masks. And when I really take a look at my own life and the masks that I've worn, on the outside, my mask has been makeup. And what I've been hiding was my, I don't know, maybe my inner hatred, my inner unforgiveness. I can see how I have punished myself through my self harm. And has that been in a way of deflecting or not really addressing the true issues? And let me just tell y'all this. Transparent moment. You don't just grow out of the effects of childhood trauma. I am 40 years old. I have two children, one who is an adult, and I still suffer the effects of childhood trauma. Now, part of the story that will unfold, that you will see, is that my traumas weren't airplane. My traumas weren't just didn't just take place in my childhood. Some of the things that I witnessed my father do in adulthood was traumatic for me. Some of the things that I heard were traumatic for me. Um, but that's not the point. What is my point? Just totally lost my train of thought with that doggone airplane. Mm. You don't just grow out of the effects of childhood trauma. So the other day, my youngest son came to me, and after a while of trying to persuade him and trying to coerce him into um, telling me about some issues that he was having, I realized that I haven't come to terms with my own narcissism. That I was doing some of the same things, different ways, different ways that I did it, but in it would be the same end result. The end result would be that my behavior is toxic, and I'm creating a wedge between me and my children, and one day they won't want anything to do with me. And that's where I think the generational curse of it all comes from. Because there are systems in place that perpetuate this cycle of narcissism. It's in the church, it's in business, it's in politics, It's in everything. All of our systems promote this type of sickness. And don't get me wrong, it's not all on a sick level. It's not on a toxic level or a problematic level. But when it is on that level, it's bad. And it has to be addressed. It has to be addressed. So coming to terms with my own narcissism, it's like I'm causing the same end result. But where I noticed that the where I was even more problematic is because initially I didn't want to take responsibility for the issues that my son was having. I didn't want to take any responsibility. And I resented having to. And that's not right. I was dead wrong. And we do these types of things to each other all the time in our relationships, and we don't really realize it. But it's toxic, and the end result will be the same. So in order to fully address any issues with my father, I have to first come maskless. I have to lay my own self bare, so to speak. My father told me that I needed to get married young because I wasn't going to be pretty forever. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he probably said other things, I don't know. I don't remember them. That's what I remember. But I guess I just want to give him the benefit of the doubt in that way. But my very first marriage was when I was 18 years old. And it was like, I couldn't wait to do it. I wanted to get out of the house so bad. And I just was like, this is the only way it's going to happen. I mean, it ended up being a dumb decision, obviously, but it's like I can pinpoint things that just set my life on a trajectory and really like defined our relationship, mine and my father's. I think in some ways I'm like more like him than I want to admit, than I'm comfortable with. And at the time that we really had our falling out, I didn't like who I was becoming. I didn't like who I was around him. I didn't like who I was as a result of his treatment, of the things that I saw in my response to them. I didn't like it. I didn't like myself. And I knew that it shouldn't be that way because I was serving under his leadership in the church. So I wasn't only his daughter. On a natural level, I was a spiritual daughter and a subordinate in the ministry. So our falling out really affected me on multiple levels. So the mask that I wore had layers to it. It wasn't just like my home life. It was everything. It was every part of my life. And honestly, I could never really take the mask off. He could be his true self when we were home and he was abusing us and talking to us crazy and treating us crazy. But I always had to wear the mask. I always had to even pretend then that I was okay. So this is deep, y'all. That's why I say you just gotta stick with it. Stick with the story. It is so complex. It's so complicated that it just takes time and consideration and compassion and empathy to tell this story. But not only that, like, not only do I have to consider those things and keep those things in mind, but I'm processing my own pain at the same time. So it's like it's hitting me on like multiple levels. It's like I feel a tremendous weight in delivering this information, and I also feel a weight because I'm processing the information. In a lot of ways, I'm reliving my childhood, and that was one of the things that my son said to me when we were talking. When I finally was able to get him to talk to me, he said that he knows that it's tough to relive your childhood. And at first, I was like, yeah, you know, just wow that he would have that level of insight and understanding. But then I felt a tremendous amount of guilt because he shouldn't have to. And then I was thinking, wait a minute, how does he have that type of understanding? Have I given him memories that he wouldn't want to relive? So that's why I say it's like it's levels to this, you know. I'm trying to keep my anger in check and keep the little girl in me from, you know, rising up and just wanting to scream and throw a tantrum and have a fit. And sometimes that's what I really want to do. But when I say, like, I want you guys to go through the process and the journey with me, it's like I want to I want you to know that I will have those moments. And I'm aware of it, which means that, you know, when they come, I'll know how to handle them because I have that awareness. But also, I don't want to deny them. I don't want to deny those moments. And I want them to be able to flow as freely as any other moment, my compassionate moments, and excuse me, my excuse me, my understanding moments, and any moment that I have in this process. Excuse me.